House Speaker Nancy Pelosi refusing to condemn the toppling of a Christopher Columbus statue in her hometown of Baltimore. Protesters tore down that statue, tossing it into the harbor on the 4th of July. But Pelosi is not criticizing the vandals when reporters ask her for reaction.
People will do what they do. I do think that from a safety standpoint, it would be a good idea to have it taken down if the community doesn't want it. I don't know that it has to be a commission, but it just could be a community view.
Senator John Barrasso is chairman of the Senate Republican Conference. Nancy Pelosi is widely regarded as one of the most wily politicians in Washington. Why not condemn this kind of mob violence, Senator?
Because Nancy Pelosi has now surrendered to the mob. And it just shows you how radical and out of touch and dangerous the Democrat Party has become under this coalition that the Democrats have put together with the socialists and the Marxists. And look, this is a city, Baltimore, and the anarchists. This is a city, Baltimore, where Nancy Pelosi's father was the mayor, and he likely contributed money and time to the putting up of that statue to Christopher Columbus. Now she's fine with tearing it down. But, John, it's not just about the statue. It's about the whole effort to cancel a culture of this whole movement to the far, far dangerous left for our country. People that want to cancel and defund the police, want to go after the churches, want to go after free speech. All of those things are being attacked, and she's willing to stand by and let it happen.
Does she think that there are votes in it for her if she takes this kind of a, oh, people will do what they will do attitude?
Well, she'll have to make her own decision for herself, but that's the way the entire Democrat Party is heading. This, I think, is a very dangerous coalition for our country, and the type of things that they want to do to change America permanently, and what I believe for the worse, with taking away free speech, canceling who we are, where we've come from. We ought to be taking a look and talking about the future. She's not doing that. We need to get our economy going again. We need to get people back to work. That's what I'm focused on. I think that what she is doing is ignoring the reality of what's happening. What I'm seeing here in Wyoming, talking to people who are absolutely offended by this approach of the mob, and Nancy Pelosi has surrendered to them.
One of the things you apparently can't do these days without criticism from the left is praise President Trump. That's what the president of Goya Foods did at the White House as part of a ceremony. Here's the blowback that he got from, for instance, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who tweeted out this: "Oh, look, it's the sound of me Googling how to make your own adobo." In other words, she will not be buying any more Goya adobo sauce. What do you think about that?
Well, she's basically named herself the judge, the jury, and the Lord High Executioner. But this is another example of what I'm talking about, this coalition of the Democrats and the anarchists and the Marxists and the socialists, all heading in that direction. The CEO of this company is a man who loves America. He donated, a ton of food to New York during the pandemic. And he was at the White House because the president was signing an executive order in terms of Hispanic education opportunities, economic opportunities, things that are important for our nation. And he said some nice things about the president, which was appropriate. And it is absolutely astonishing how this cancel culture has moved to say, we will attack you. You don't have a right to free speech. We're coming after you. This is this coalition that wants to take down America. And I know your viewers, John, are not going to stand for it, and I'm not either.
Yeah, this is a guy whose version of the American dream now employs 4,000 people in this country. And AOC and the like want to essentially deny him business. It's quite a time. Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, it's good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, John.